On this day, we recognize St. Francis who loved animals and spent a lot of time outdoors in nature when he was an adult, which is kind of surprising because Francis grew up in a very, very wealthy home. His father was very rich, but Francis decided to give it all up, decided to walk away from all of his wealth and comfort and to live simply in nature. Francis founded a community of men devoted to a life of poverty and to spreading the gospel and to caring for the poor. Francis is known as the patron saint of animals as well as the environment. And in most statues of St. Francis, if you've seen any of them, his arms are extended sort of out like this. And usually there are birds on his arms. And if you have a big statue or you've seen pictures of him, there are oftentimes animals sitting in front of him. It is said that he could communicate with animals of all sorts, birds, sheep, wolves, and they would come to him and he would talk to them and preach to them and tell them how wonderful they were in his life and also how God has blessed them. I think Francis lived the words of Jesus that we just heard. Come to me, all you who are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. In Francis's life and hearing about God's creation, I think we can agree that God created animals and nature because they were wonderful. And he wanted humans to enjoy them. He wanted us to take care of nature and take care of animals, and also to help us in some way through those animals and through nature, help relieve some of our burdens and help us get rest. And to know that God is with us in all of creation so that our burden is easy. Animals and nature help us understand, I think, God's unconditional love and help us find purpose and joy and rest in our lives. Speaking of rest, you know that I was gone last week on an amazing vacation on the coast of Maine. I'll tell you about that some other time, but we spent a week at Orr's Island, which if you don't know where that is, it's basically you drive past Portland, Freeport, where LL Bean is, get to Bowdoin College and take a right. And you just keep following the islands. There's 3 of them down to the second one. And it's a lovely place where if you're on Facebook, you can see the pictures of the cottage that my grandmother inherited from her aunt, her great aunt. And it's still in my family today. And my aunt, my mother's sister, who will be 90 in March, she'll probably kill me because she listens to my sermons. She's very amazing and sprightly and just awesome. She lives in a retirement community in Brunswick, Maine, near Orr's Island. And while I was visiting her, Marla and I were visiting her this week, she told me about a remarkable woman that I'd never heard of named Gretchen Evans, who lives in that same retirement community. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Gretchen Evans because it does tie in with St. Francis. So stick with me here. Gretchen Evans, also known as Command Sergeant Major, retired, served 27 years in the United States Army. She held every leadership position from a squad leader to Command Sergeant Major for Lieutenant General Carl, I think that's how you pronounce, anyway, Carl Eikenberry, commander of the Combined Forces in Afghanistan from 2004 to 2006. She served overseas and nationwide, as well as in several combat deployments. Retired Commander Sergeant Major Evans served as an intelligence analyst, counterintelligence analyst, military police, paratrooper, and numerous other positions. Highly decorated during her tenure, she received over 27 awards and decorations, including the Bronze Star. In Afghanistan, she was wounded, which resulted in total hearing loss, traumatic brain injury, and various other challenges at the age of 46. She tells of feeling worthless, of feeling not like she could contribute anything to life. And she felt like she should die. She started running as part of her coming back. And she ran up to 10 and 12 miles a day. She says she ran and she ran and she ran and she stopped eating. She wanted to disappear. And if her war injuries were not enough, she was nearly killed while running when a bicyclist that she could not hear knocked her into traffic. She says, I can still smell the burning rubber. And while she was recovering, her doctor said to her, you cannot do what you used to do. You cannot do what you used to do. And she was devastated. In a moment of complete despair, she emailed American Vet Dogs with the message, I have a traumatic brain injury, I'm deaf, and I have severe PTSD. Can you help me? And she said an email came back with one word, yes. Yes, yes, we can help you. And she says, I got the coolest set of ears you could ever imagine with her service dog, Rusty. She credits Rusty, her service dog, for saving her life. She said, Rusty, my service dog, was the beginning of my road back. And that's only the first part of her story. The second part, which I don't have time to tell you, is filled with amazing things that happened in her life because she became a leader. She formed veterans organizations. She founded an organization called Unbroken, filled with military vets who had injuries, showing them that they could still use their abilities to do things like climbing Mount Fiji and other amazing things. And earlier this year, she was presented with the Pat Tillman Award for Service. I commend her story to you, and I will include a link to her information in the sermon when I send it out on Monday, as well as her book, Learning from the Front. Now, I don't know that our stories may be as amazing regarding our pets as the one I just shared, but I imagine that some of you might agree that at times our pets have saved our lives too. Maybe not in such a dramatic way, but certainly our pets have been an integral part of our joy and our pleasure and our opportunities to find God's unconditional love when they come to the door to greet us, even cats that do that. I remember my very first Blessing of the Animals Sunday, I was talking about dogs coming to the front of the house, and I was told, we have a cat, the Youngmans, that comes to the front of the house and greets you when you walk in the door, or wherever you come in the door. And now they have a dog, so even better. But all of our pets, I believe, have special places in our hearts and in our lives, whether they're with us now or whether they've crossed that rainbow bridge. I don't know how many of you have rescued dogs, but I love the bumper sticker of the dog paw that says, who rescued who? Should be whom, but who rescued who? I'm not an English major, but I know that. So as we celebrate St. Francis today, hearing the story of our Gretchen Evans and remembering St. Francis's love for the environment and animals of all kinds, we give thanks for the animals in our lives, for their devotion to us and our devotion to them, for the ways they help us find rest and joy, and how they share unconditional love. We also give thanks for the many ways that our pets, our beloved animals, four-legged, two-legged, no-legged, save our lives with their love and their attention. Thanks be to God. Amen.